Greetings, family. Peace to you. Welcome back to MaatSpeaks. I'm so happy to be joining you again today. And so, as promised, I am getting back in the swing of things. So, bear with me as I get my schedule back on track so that I can continue, to go live and do some videos. So I should have some videos going up as well very soon, but I am so happy to be here with you once again. Okay, family. So I just want to shout out all the new subscribers to the channel. I really do appreciate you. And if you can't hear me, well, if you can hear me, let me know. Put a one in the chat, put whatever you want in the chat, but just let me know that you can hear me loud and clear. I want to make sure that everyone can hear me. But just I want to shout out the new subscribers because I do see that a lot of you are coming to the channel, commenting on the videos, and so I do appreciate you and welcome to my Speak. So I just want to say that I'm happy that you joined me today. And if you are new to this channel here at My Speaks, we are aimed to demonstrate how to maintain, uphold, and build a code and culture through the principles of Ma'at. And if you do need a reminder of those principles are balance, harmony, truth, order, justice, reciprocity, and righteousness or propriety. Now we begin by applying these principles to ourselves, then we extend these principles to our families and ultimately our communities. So as you enter family, make sure you hit that like button. Share this conversation, continue to help Ma'at Speaks grow. And make sure that if you're not subscribed, that you also subscribe and tell others to come on over and subscribe to the channel. Also, you can support the channel in a few ways if you feel so inclined to support the channel. Every little bit helps. But yes, you can support the channel. I'm going to do my little housekeeping here. Let's see. So I have Buy Me a Coffee. So you can buy me my tea that I love so much. You can buy me a tea at buymeacoffee.com. And it's just little $5. Helps the channel grow. That's all you have to do. Or if you just want to send me some money over on Cash App. So you can donate on Cash App at MaatSpeaks, Venmo MaatSpeaks, or my PayPal, which is Gen Health Revolution. And also, you can follow me on Instagram at Generational Health Revolution. So, without further ado, let's jump into the conversation. But I do need to look at who is already in the chat here. So, we have the Sir Health Speaks Network. Peace, Sir Health. It's good to see you in the chat. Thank you for stopping on by. Respect and best wishes to you. And just congratulations on your growth, Sir Hell. And I also see, oh, hey, how you doing? Peace to you. It's good to see you, love. And peace to my sister, Inya. Peace, Inya. It's good to see you, sis. So hope all is well with you. Thank you for stopping on by. Okay, so before I just go full force into the conversation, I always like to remind you that as you enter, prepare to open your minds. So we have been given this filter that most of us are accustomed to seeing through. So here at My Speaks, we want to bring out that different perspective so that we can consciously heal ourselves and name ourselves in a way that is native to who we are. So I started this channel so that we could heal ourselves, heal our community. And I want us to be able to build with one another so that we can create a world that our children and future generations do not need to heal from, or that they just come already just thriving, and healing is not even a thing anymore, right? So, as you know from my last live, or you may not know, but for a couple weeks ago when I went live, I said that I wanted to have more healing conversations centered around our community and different ways to heal and things we need to heal. Because I think a lot of times we talk about building within our community, but sometimes we forget that in order to build with one another, we have to heal certain, aspects of our community. And one important aspect is community. So, I can't build with my sister or my brother if we still need healing. Like, we have to heal those relationships. A big one is the dynamic between the black man and the black woman, right? So if I have not healed what's inside of me that maybe is affected by the black man, I'm going to use that as an example, then it will be hard for me to build with that black man because I still have healing to do in that aspect. So I don't really see, and leave your comments. Let me know how you feel about this. But I don't really see building on the large scale that we seek to see it happening if we are not healing those dynamics, healing the brokenness within us, healing physically, healing emotionally, spiritually. I don't see those things happening until we actually, or building until we actually heal those things with us. So I do want to have more conversations centered around healing. Of course, we'll still have our powerful conversations, and I'll still invite people on to, to analyze certain things and have those perspectives. But I do really want to jump into healing, and today we're going to be kind of in that realm of spirituality, right? And so I think a lot of times, and I named it, right. So you see the bougie-ness, the word bougie-ness, right? And that's a word that is in our community as of lately. Bougie, bad and bougie. And then even in the spiritual community, you have people who are like, I'm spiritual, bougie, and hood, or whatever, So it's that word. So some of it is, I'm pulling you in with that. But at the same time, I do think that that needs to be also looked at, because I was having a conversation with a sister the other day, and we were kind of talking about that, and I said, what is this, like, what is this called? I said, it's like spiritual. I said, what is it, like spiritual bouginess? And she was like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. And so I want to get into that because I think it's an important for us, because a lot of times people are seeking. Maybe they have left religion, maybe they have left their community. And so now they're seeking to go deeper and even heal spiritually. And a lot of times they can kind of get stopped in their tracks because of what I call spiritual bouginess. And so I think it's something that we need to just address. I'm not going to be here long. If I'm up here by myself, I'm going to keep it to an hour or less, maybe 45 minutes at the most. If I have other people on, then it'll be a longer conversation, but it's just me up here. And you can tell me what you think in the comments, in the chat. Just let me know, and what you even think spiritual bouginess is. But I want to, I'm a definitions person. I was on our dear brother Abe's channel. Was it last week? Maybe it was last week. I think it was last week. And someone, I won't say any names, but someone said that, why do I always need things to be defined, And so I'm a word person, I'm a definition person. I think words are important. I believe in the power of words. And so anytime you see me in discussion, you can go back to the beginning of my APP MaatSpeaks. I'm going to define some stuff. And I also like looking at etymology, because it tells us where those words come from, and each word has a frequency. So words have a frequency. And I'm going to discuss that later. Probably I'm going to just do an Instagram video on that because there's something I want to address too when it comes to words. But that's not what this conversation is about. So during this conversation, I want to address the spiritual bougie-ness, what I perceive as spiritual bougie-ness. So first, I want to look at the word bougie, right? So where that word comes from. So when you look it up and you look at the etymology and all that, we get that word bourgeoisie, right? It's a French word. And so I'm going to just read a few things on where this word even comes from, right? So the bourgeoisie is a social class and it was equivalent to the middle or upper class. So really, when you research this word, this was supposed to be the middle class. Now, what we know as the middle class today is not necessarily what the middle class was, decades and centuries ago, right? So there's a certain element of the middle class that we would have seen. So and you can, I'm not an economics person or thing or anything like that, but it is a different it was different because you also know the economy was different. So anywho, so with that word, they are distinguished from and traditionally contrasted with what you would call the affluent, but then they were higher than what you would call like the lower class, right? So the actual definition is the middle class, typically with reference to its perceived materialistic values or conventional attitudes. So one thing that is important is that we understand like bougie, like that's really a slang word, right? Bougie is uh it's slang for a lot of what people consider the people who are still, we still say middle class, right? It's it and because it comes from that, because a lot of people they find that French words, like if you really listen to people and they talk about France or French and things like that, they equate that to high class, right? So, if you hear, somebody who speaks fluent French, right? Then you equate that person with being a certain with certain value. I just put certain value is usually associated with French. So, a lot of the bourgeoisie that was also associated with Karl Marx. So it was, and he used it to illustrate kind of that class struggle, right? So I'm not going to get deep into that because I want to tie it to the spiritual community. So what do we see in the spiritual community? And I want to shout out um, oh, thank you so much. My Monday motion videos. Thank you, Inya. I appreciate that. I am trying to continue that, but thank you, sis. So and my sister, I want to shout out my sister Hanifa. Peace to you. Thank you for coming on through. So a lot of what I want to associate with that, and it's a lot because we're not just talking about one, like when we talk about the spiritual or the quote unquote conscious community, it's huge, right? So we're gonna make sure that we're talking about the Black conscious community because there are other conscious communities, right? But we're gonna try to bring it to the Black conscious community because on MaatSpeaks it's really important that we are building, with one another and understanding how this affects our community personally. But one thing that I have what we're seeing, right? Because we live in a capitalistic society, right? And so a lot of times people, when it comes to the spiritual community, it's you can see that it has become also very capitalistic, and it's hard to, and I struggle with this myself because, even a person who's trying to, you know, really do my health and wellness thing, it's a struggle for me because you do have to still participate in capitalism in order to like live in this society, right? Like capitalism is literally surrounding you at all aspects. And one thing for me is that and that me and my husband talk about often is like, how do we exist outside of it as much as possible? You cannot, you know until the day we decide to like completely remove ourselves, right? You still have to exist within it pretty much, every day. Now, I'm a little bit different because I don't go to like a 9 to 5 every day, right? So I do most of the things that I do are from home, or, I have different things that I do that where I don't have to like clock in every day. So I am a little different in that regard. But when it comes to the spiritual community, we have so many, it's almost like there has been created this sort of hierarchy within the spiritual community, even so much that we also have to look at why we perceive that spirituality has to look a certain way within our community. So it ends up being where you have to dress a certain way, look a certain way, speak a certain way. And that to me gets to be very cultish and religious, right? Like we're getting that because most of us have left religion, and we have now we're trying to develop our spiritual grounding, right? But we are still holding on to a lot of things that are from religion, where it ends up being kind of like these cultish activities, even so much when it comes to like the way that we eat, right? So you have your Sabians, right? Like you have to eat all alkaline, you're not you and how it is connected. You have your spirituality connected to the way you eat. Now, I do believe that, but I don't believe that you have to get so what is the word? So it's, I can't think of the word right now, but where you get so I'm going to use the word judgmental, right? You're going to get so judgmental. So if that person is not eating alkaline, right? You're not eating off of the Dr. Sabi list, then you are not you're not as aligned as the person like who's still eating like soy and stuff, right? So it's a lot of that that is happening in the community. Now, do I believe any spiritual practice that you do see that diet is a huge part of like fasting. Fasting is a huge part of our spirituality and our spiritual walk. But I do believe that we do need to work on a little bit more patience with those who are coming into it, right? You can't just throw somebody and say, hey, now you need to go fast for 40 days because, if you don't fast for 40 days, then you're not as balanced as I am. And all of it is going to look different. And even that's getting into our the whole idea that we need like this intercessor, right? Or this person that is a go-between. And this is like a touchy kind of can be a touchy one for a lot of people, because there are people who are, like high priestess and high priest and things like that. And so, but it again, it can end up being kind of cultish because you develop your own spiritual connection, right? There are some people who are practicing different spiritual spiritual walks, right? So you might have somebody who's practicing comedic spirituality while this other person is practicing Ifa, right? Or, like we have all of these different spiritual, but that's within you, what you decide. And a lot of us, and I know just from me, uh, going in, leaving religion and going into spirituality, it can be very difficult, um, because you're asking all of these questions. You're just like, well, how did you do this? It's kind of like, when you're adopting a new lifestyle, like a new eating lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, and maybe you're trying to lose 20 pounds or 40 pounds or whatever it is. And so you're asking all of these different people, like, well, how did you do this? What did you eat? Tell me your meal plan. How many hours a week did you work out? And again, we do that, and then we adopt that also to spirituality, not understanding. Okay, y'all, I am back. I thought I had fixed the issue with what is going on with StreamYard. I don't know what's going on, so I'll have to get my software engineer husband to figure this out, or I'm going to have to use something else besides StreamYard, because it's just doing this every single time for the past few times that I've been on here. It's weird. But anyway, I'm back. So, with that break, I will go to the chat. Peace to you, my brother and Jabril. It's so good. Always good to see you in the chat. And let's see. Yes, so rigid. And oh, peace to you, NA. It's good to see you again. Always good to see you as well. Let's see. Okay, all right. So hopefully I'm not gonna be here too much longer, but hopefully I can make it to the end. Okay, so what I was saying, don't really remember what I was just, I was in the zone. But when it comes to that, so I'll just go jump into the whole idea of, even within the spiritual community. So let's like just jump back into capitalism for a moment, because when we have people who are saying that you have to go, so I was talking about the different spiritual practices. So let's say that you want to get to the to the depth, right, of Vodun, right? And so you seek out someone, or you seek out an elder or someone in that community who is going to give you that knowledge. Now, a lot of times what we are seeing now, and we're seeing this across the board. So, if you're an entrepreneur, you know that you are seeing coaches. They are, asking for that hundreds or thousands of dollars to coach you if you want to be successful. And then they'll put like nice little things on there to grab your attention, right? Like, make your first $25,000 in 90 days. And so that gets your attention. And so then you're just like looking and seeing, is it worth it? You're looking at all the reviews. So it's kind of the same thing, right? We are adapting those same type of practices. And you know how I have spoken before on this channel. Well, you may not know, but on this channel, I do talk a lot about how we adopt those Eurocentric ideas, or philosophies, in a sense, right? Because even like thinking about the word bougie and where that even comes from, it's a Eurocentric word, but we use it, it's us using it in our community, right? Bad and bougie. And so the thing is like we're adopting those same things now. We're adopting things that we say that we're trying to get away from. For example, you have someone who says they are high, like they are known to be very much spiritually in tune, right? They have all of the things. They have a big spiritual platform, and they are telling you like you need to manifest your reality. You need to manifest abundance. You need to always think positively, right? And so you, as a person who is who is grinding every day, right? Let's say you have a 9 to 5 and you're grinding every day, but you have this highly spiritual person who talks softly and speaks certain words to you and is telling you these things that you need to do, but you are in survival mode. But one thing that they do know is that, in essence, they need the working people to buy into what they're saying, right? And so, again, we are taking that kind of like capitalistic mentality, and we're put it in the spiritual community, even though the spiritual community is telling you to run away. They're like, run away from all of this 9 to 5 grind culture. But at the same time, it's kind of a, what is it? I don't know if it's an oxymoron, but it's it's the irony of it all, because most people who are in that spiritual community, who are doing very well as spiritual advisors, or whatever you want to call them, they are kind of dependent on the people who are, kind of working. So what happens is that there's a disconnect that can happen between people who are in the spiritual community, and especially someone who is just trying to enter the spiritual community. They're trying to get their grounding. It can be difficult because you are being told, or it's looking like I have to dress the part, right? It's looking like I have to speak the part. I have to have a crystal for like every chakra that exists, right? And then on top of that, you're telling me that I need to come to you, to get my spiritual guidance. And then instead, and I think one thing that is not always um like being told to us when we're new coming into the community is to seek from within, right? To look within. I say it all the time, look within, look within. But what does that really mean? A lot of times we don't really know how to access our own power from within. And so that's why we go to someone else. But again, what does that look like? That looks it looks a lot like religion, right? It looks like I have to go to the pastor in order, in order to be my best spiritual self, right? In order to be aligned, in order to be balanced, in order to receive the things that I I know that I'm supposed to receive. So a lot of times it can be very difficult, especially for people who are just coming into it. And then let's get into like courses and books and things like that. So you have a stack, because even within that, and that's why I say bougie-ness, because we have sort of a classist thing that also happens within the spiritual community or conscious community. So it may not be money that is being said, but it's the amount of books. How many books have you read, right? Um, I can only listen to you if you have like a PhD in your name. Or I can like, it's this thing of I've even been on on Instagram, and I'm looking at like the comments, and someone said, "Oh, I knew you were the real deal because you read this book, or you were talking about this particular person," not understanding when you really think of it on a spiritual level, right? So there are people who have come into my life and they have introduced me to new new things, right? New people, new elders, new, you know what I'm saying, new books. And I would not have maybe have gotten to that unless that person had entered my journey. And so sometimes that knowledge is meant for you at a certain period of time. So if you don't know something, maybe you are the person who is supposed to give that person, but you don't negate that person's growth just because they may not have that particular book or that particular knowledge, and they may have knowledge that you need, that is important in your journey. So we do this, like, and it's a very hierarchical thing. Like I've read the most books, or I can do the most analysis. I have the connection to some of the greatest master teachers, whatever it is. It's this hierarchical thing. And then even get into the courses, where a lot of courses are out of reach for what I would consider the common person, right? So I might have $500 um to 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 pay for a course, right? But that doesn't mean I have $500 to pay for 10 different courses. Or a person may not have $500 at all, you know? And this is a conversation I even had with a sister of mine, friend of mine, about what do we do for those people who cannot afford, because a lot of times those things that are needed in our community are needed by the ones the most who cannot afford it. And so, I have much respect for a lot of elders in our community that do make it affordable. So I want to make that very clear. There are a lot of elders in our community that make their work, their books, their knowledge extremely affordable. But then there are some people who just don't, and I've had a conversation about this before, where people say, don't worry about the people who can't pay for it, right? You only worry about the people who are able to pay for that. And again, I understand that within like capitalism and people who are entrepreneurs and things like that, I understand that way of thinking. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. But should that be in our spiritual community? Because as spiritual beings, right? Or even the things that we understand. Like when I understand that the earth, you should not be paying to live on the earth, understanding that you should not be paying to drink water. You shouldn't pay for quality water. You shouldn't have to worry about where there's a place to lay your head and all of those different things. As a spiritual being, that should really cause honestly uneasiness within you. So when you become part of the problem, when you become a parasite, just like all of these other people are being parasitic, then you have to ask yourself, like, are you really doing what you have been purposed to do, or are you just trying to make money off of your community? Now, I will say this, that as an individual, it's going to be up to you to understand that, because there are, I know, for example, Queen Afua, right? She has a wonderful program, and it's a good amount of time, right? For example, there are people who are asking thousands of dollars to have retreats um for like 2 days. But then you have someone like Queen Afua, who it's a several weeks. And so the amount that you pay for that, I do believe is well worth it, And so, but there are people who are just trying to get rich off of the community. And then even people who are well meaning, we do have to get back into the fact that even our well-meaning people, they're still being extremely judgy. So again, it's like the bourgeoisie who are looking down on the poor people. So you have the bougie people of the spiritual community looking at the lowly people like, what are you doing? Why are you the way that you are? And I have even had to, deal with myself on that, right? Because there's one thing where you look at people and you say, well, why are you still doing this? Why are you still listening to this music? Why are you still choosing to be programmed? But if you're being programmed, you're not choosing to be programmed, right? You just program. The program does not know that it's programmed. That's a successful program because it doesn't know it's being programmed. So for me, it's a call, and I want to shout out my brother here, Arshan. Peace to you, Arshan. Thank you for coming on through. Good to see you. But, one thing that for us as beings, I believe wholeheartedly in the mind, the body, that mind body spirit connection. I believe in that. I believe that as someone who is attempting to live out the characteristics, the attributes of my eye, that it is important that I am able to connect with people who may not look and walk like me, right? Like who, so if too like I'm up there, right? And I'm a spiritual being and you have to come up to me. If you're too like that, then it's very hard for people who are in the beginning stages of their spirituality to even want to stay in that. There's a lot of people who have left the conscious community because of that. You have to, I believe in plant-based eating. I do. I live plant-based eating. I believe it can save lives. But am I going to make if I am I going to look at you crazy if you're not plant-based? No. I do believe in it. I'm an advocate for it, but I'm not going to be like, oh my goodness, you are just terrible because you're not eating plant-based food, right? I'm not gonna look down on you for that. And this takes it is a journey because we all kind of walk down a path, especially in our spiritual walk. We walk a path and we like do that, for the longest, At the beginning of my journey, I was like, oh, white Jesus. You know what I'm saying? I was just like anybody who even the word Jesus, like it would trigger me. So that's the thing, but now that's not a trigger for me. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. I believe that we can still have a conversation. We can still be cordial. We can even probably still be friends, as long as you don't try to throw shade on what I'm doing and I'm not going to throw shade on what you're doing. And we can have meaningful conversations. But a lot of times, it can, when you're when you're walking two different paths, in a sense. A lot of people don't believe that you can, but as a person who wants to build our community, right? As a person who is building, with a black man and have a black family, you want to be able to connect with others and help everyone, because part of my purpose, I believe, is to bring balance back to the planet. And so I cannot be so up here, right? Where I feel like I can connect with people who are in different places or different phases, or even on different levels, whether that's economically, spiritually, um health wise, whatever it may be. There's this thing that has been happening too, like, there's people who are like, they look down on people who they consider obese. Like, there are people who are in the fitness community, and they will talk down on people who are quote unquote obese, right? And so that's the kind of the same thing that I'm talking about. It enters in all aspects of our life. But I'm directly speaking now to people who consider to be like spiritual workers, or just spiritual people who are wanting to build with one another. So I know a lot of people who come to this channel, that's what they're doing. We might practice different things. I'm not just into comedic spirituality. I look at other different um spiritual practices and things like that. And one thing that is a lot of commonality between those things. And if we are going to be serious about building within our community, we need to be serious about how we connect with those people who are hungry for, like, the depth of spirituality. Because a lot of people, when they're coming from religion, one thing that they're missing is community. They're like looking for community. And it can be very it can feel lonely when you are leaving religion, and you're diving into that, especially depending on where you are in the world. So I live in the South, and I'm from the South, and especially when we were living in Louisiana, it was very isolating, to have left religion. And I, in trying to like determine, like, where do we go in this thing, and you no longer have your quote unquote church family, and now you're trying to find people that you can connect with and build with. So I really want us, and tell me your thoughts on this. Like, let me know how you feel. Arshawn said tough balancing act between exchanging and giving. Yes, I agree with that. And that's why I say that when it comes to um this, because this is a conversation, and I think there are layers to the conversation within the spiritual community, because there are rituals and things like that in access to knowledge that should not just be there, right? It shouldn't just be where anybody can receive that knowledge. I mean, I believe that certain African um knowledge should remain. But how do we guard that, right? How do you gatekeep those things? Because if you that's why a lot of it is leaving our community, because all you need is money. If you got the money, and then usually who has the access to wealth more? It's not us. It's other people have access, other communities have access to that wealth. So they're able to just buy the knowledge and use it on us, against us, keep it away from us, whatever you want to call it. They're using things that have been traditionally ours. So I do believe in a bit of that, but I don't believe that money is the solution. I believe that community is the solution. So you can only gatekeep it if you have created a community of people who are going to be able to gatekeep that knowledge. You know, um, just putting a high price tag on it is, to me, is not the answer, because anybody can come in, and somebody looking like you can come in and decide to take that knowledge and then go sell it, so there's that. So, but yeah, like, family, I'm not going to stay here much longer. I just wanted to like touch on that and really ask, and really, even people who are doing very well in the spiritual community, as far as monetarily, I would love to hear and maybe even have a conversation about it. I do plan on having my next live. I do plan on having a guest on, and I do want to kind of have that conversation with people who are in the community. How do you balance that? How do you balance the whole idea of needing also to survive, right? You need to survive in this world. Everything is going up. Everything is going up, right? And so, but also not taking advantage of your people. Like, how does that look? What do we do within that? How do we connect with one another and not take advantage of one another? And there's a whole lot of healing around that as well. One of the things that I hear a lot when it comes to Black businesses, which I don't agree with, because I try to patron Black businesses as much as possible, and it's very rare that I get bad service. But a lot of people say, "Oh, I tried to give Black businesses a chance, but they gave me terrible service." And, there's a way to handle that. Going on social media and telling the world that you had bad service from a Black business is not the way. So, I think there's always ways to handle those things, because there's people who are even spiritual people or spiritual businesses that I didn't appreciate some of the things that happen within those, but I'm not going to get online and just be like, "Hey, look at how this person treated me," or, you know. So I think we have to even understand how to deal with that, but there's healing that has to be around that, because it goes to I think it really goes to, some people go into Black businesses not expecting the most out of them anyway. They're like going into it and saying, I'm going, I'm going to support it, but I don't really think that they're going to treat me right. And then when they get the treatment, I think they're like, see, I knew that was going to happen. So I do think that there's some of that is going on. So y'all are so quiet in the chat, y'all. But I'm going to I think I'm just gonna end it there. I just want to say um to you, family, I want to thank you again for being here. Thank you. It's yeah. We here? Okay. Okay. Thank you, family. But I just want to say to my people, to us, I love y'all. I thank you for being here. I just want to see us healing, thriving, joyous, building with one another, and whatever that looks like. Things change, things happen, but it doesn't mean that we can't find. And even if for right now, and I want to just say this really quick. We have to stop thinking that we need hundreds of people to build with. I mean, you may need only 5 people to build with, right? 5 people, get you some land, get your house. Well, it doesn't even matter. Just find those people to build with, and let's just do that, get to work. I think a lot of times we're trying to save the world at one time. But the way that I think of it, just got to start with two. Yeah, like the way that I think of it is our nations were built off of one family, right? So you got a family, like I got a family, you got a family. We build and we go from there. We don't need hundreds of people. One thing that my husband said to me the other day, and this was something This was for something totally separate. And I shared this with my dear sister the other day. And he said, stop focusing on the people that are not supporting you and start focusing on the ones that do. So I'm focused on y'all right now. Thank you so much. I really truly appreciate you for being here. I will be back soon. My sister said, I think we can make a difference though, a small one, but a good one. Yes. And the thing is, most of us have already made a difference and we don't even know it because we're like trying to make a difference on a big scale, right? We're like trying to make like this big dramatic difference. We want the world to see us. But think about people who just came into your life last year or 2 years ago. I know some of y'all just from what? It's been a year and a half and I've connected with people offline. So you're already making a difference. Some people have made you think. I have learned some things from just people who I have connected with off of in this space, right? So we are making a difference. It's just not a big dent yet. But those big dents come from us continuing to help the ones who we connect with. That's it. So let's just keep doing it. That's part of the work. Part of the work is just continuing to show up and do what we have to do. Yep. And I've been here days. Differences made slowly though. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. From I was like KWK. Yes. Yes. A difference is made slowly. Yes. Yeah. So it's just like it doesn't have to, you know, when we think of time, we think of time in such a very a small way, right? We think of it in a uh I guess minuscule way. When time is infinite, who said that you only have a short amount of time to get these things done? You have a lot of time. But the way that the world exists, it makes us think that we have like this short amount of time and we have to get these things done right now. And yes, we want to see a difference in our lives today, but what is very important for me and for our family is that our children see a difference and their children see a difference. So, with that being said, I appreciate all of you for being here and thank you again. I will see you soon. Be on the lookout for some new videos that will be coming up. I most likely will, no, I'm not going to most likely, I'm going to say it. You will see a meditation video for the spring equinox and the new moon going up. One thing, I don't know if y'all been feeling the energy of spring coming, and probably why it feels so great today is yes, that sun is coming out and spring is on the horizon. So I have to do one for spring and the new moon. New moon is in Aries, and you know the new moon, it Aries. That's that fire, So I'm gonna do a meditation for that. So be on the lookout for that. Maybe this weekend, no later than Monday. But yes, oh yes, the longer days. Just gotta get used to this time change. This time change. Oh, I hope they stop this soon because I don't like it. But anyway, okay. She said I got 10 followers on my blog and I'm in no rush to grow it. I just want to make a difference through writing. Yes, yes. That's wonderful, wonderful. And yeah. So again, family, thank you so much for coming through. I will see you next time. And with that being said, peace, family.